Thanks, Micah.
Thank you, Micah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I just wanted to call a quick meeting just to get some updates on the athletic issues and things that are happening and with buildings and grounds also. So, do we have any updates, what's going on with the baseball and softball fields?
I can provide some updates, and I'm sure Dawn, Mr. Hall as well, but there's activity up there. They're starting to mobilize. We have Benny Palumbo, who is the excavator. They will be starting to put down what they call the silt stockings.
To prevent the runoff.
Yes, to prevent the runoff around the complex and facility. The artificial turf should be delivered here within the first couple weeks of September. And that will be stored and should be put down within the next month and a half after excavation is complete.
They have a timeline, like, or is it like, wait and see what we find underneath?
I think that's the most important thing. Once they start digging down.
So we know we have the sprinkler system there.
Yes, there is a sprinkler system underneath the,
All three fields.
yeah, I was saying baseball, softball, and
PE.
There's been different names for that over the
The
years.
estimation is about 6 weeks of foundational work. And again, I think they factor into that 6 weeks, what if we find this? The old rule of, not to be late, you give yourself time and a half. I think it's about a 4-week deal, and I think they plan on 6 weeks of digging.
And a lot of the topsoil or field, what do you call that stuff? The field dry or whatever it is pretty much on the surface level of the infield for both softball and baseball. So they'll be digging that up first, trying to save it, preserve it. And then the topsoil and everything else will be dropped over at the library field.
When do you foresee the library field being done?
Being finished, I can't give a timeline on that. At this point, once we finish the fields.
I'd say that's a domino that's a little farther down the line.
Okay.
I mean, the dirt's going there, but that won't be completed until we're sure that,
What else needs to?
Some of the topsoil or field dry, we have Picure needs some, and I believe there were a couple other places that were
we
requesting.
can use it at the middle school too.
Yes, exactly.
What are the plans for the library field?
Eventually, it's to be leveled and utilized for a marching band practice facility, asphalt, et cetera.
Overflow parking lot also.
Overflow parking. Essentially, it's additional parking, but primarily it'll be used as a band practice area with a band.
In the parking
So it
lot.
allows us to keep the student parking lot, which can be hazardous because it's traveled so frequently. This field would obviously be blocked off at one entrance, and therefore cars wouldn't naturally go there, and you'd still have plenty of parking at the stadium if we had another event going on.
Dawn knows this as well. Whenever we have, whether or not it's a soccer after school or even practice, and the band's up there and traffic coming through is a concern. And even though it's roped off and there's barrels protecting the band, I mean,
I
at
know.
some point, anybody driving recklessly can go down there and.
Plus our maintenance office is right up there and they're in and out of there all day.
Exactly. So the idea was to really flatten this area and use it as parking and band.
Yeah,
Let me ask,
That's a great idea.
let me ask you this, did we submit plans for that yet?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
So it's just gonna be a catch-all for dirt right now?
Yeah, because currently right now we don't know how much dirt, what's going to go in there. The field's been, I don't know if you use that for anything, Dawn.
We used
Practice.
it one time for football in the entire time I've been here, and I think it was the first year. We couldn't get on the maintenance field for some reason, and we went, I'm
softball or baseball practice on it at all? Nothing?
I've seen just pick up games with
Yeah,
soccer.
just, and
I've seen like youth
youth go out there.
football or youth
Yeah.
cheer use it some,
Spring
but that's just
baseball.
because it's available. and
Baseball, not our
they can use it the
baseball,
same
youth
way.
baseball.
Yeah.
No,
They don't really need grass for the cheer part of it.
Teams
sometimes.
anymore.
that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of fields that empty.
So it was utilized years ago as really our competition softball field.
Yep.
Prior to
yeah.
the field up top. That's where they played varsity softball for years, right over the hill there.
And baseball was down below, right?
Yeah.
Baseball right over here,
Yeah.
maintenance.
Really the maintenance field, which if you look at that right field porch is not
On the lefty.
Little League distance.
You've been an all-star.
Yeah. So I think once they get started with excavating, we'll have a better idea of the timeframe.
Okay, so we had, back in August of '21, we said that we were going to hire the gateway engineers to perform the geotechnical engineering services, the athletic fields, and the band practice area. So that has been done or not, but that would have been done?
For the fields, I would say yes. But for the,
So
down here, I don't have the answer to
do
that.
we know?
Mr. Brown would.
Okay. So do we know, not to exceed 60,000, how much we would have put out for that already? We could find out from
Is it
Mike now.
Mr. Brown or Mr. Schott? Or not Mr. Schott,
Mike,
Mr. Mike would know. Who?
okay. Just because if we're saying not to exceed 60,000, this was back in '21, I don't know how much. Okay, so I will find out on that. Okay. All right. The scoreboard for the baseball field. What's happening with that?
I had sent Dawn information from what Bob had sent me, and I have that email. But Mike, are you able to put that up? The scoreboards.
Yes, hold on one second.
We have, and Dawn, correct me, I think there's 3 or 4 different, or 3 versions of different.
I looked at 3.
And I know there's differences. I don't know, Dawn, if you want to just kind of review what's on the scoreboards as far as.
Basically, you know, when you go to PNC Park or when you go to Wrigley Field or any you know, a lot of college stadiums, rather than having a scoreboard that just gives you a, you know, home visitors inning in the middle, like you'd see at the Little League field, they expand out to something like this. And this one includes, you know, a pitch, a jugs gun that would tell you how fast the pitch was. That's probably not where we're headed. But again, it even gives you the scoring. In other words, the official score said there was a, you know, the center fielder made the play, or there was an error on the center fielder there. The pitch count, you know, the how many outs, visitors home across, you know, show inning by inning score, runs, hits, errors. That's a pretty typical baseball score line when you look at it. I think we liked the version that had who's at bat. So let's say number 25 is the batter. That would be probably where the miles per hour thing is. The pitch count would make sense. And then I'm trying to think of the other 2. Maybe, Michael, could you toggle to one of the 2 options?
Oh, there's your.
Yeah. Who's
Yeah,
at
you might
bat?
want to scroll down, I think.
Now, how long do these scoreboards take to come in and to get set up?
I don't think it's that long to set up.
It's not long. It can be like a 4 to 6 week deal. And again, the thing that is in our favor is while we want to finish the project, we're not playing baseball with a scoreboard until the spring.
Right, okay.
So if we want to, you know, discuss, or even if there's a longer lead time or there's some delay in the scoreboard, I think we're safe. Not that we want to wait, but I don't think we're in any sort of danger zone as far as the timing of it.
How big is this?
It will say below, if that's the scroll down, I think it gives us the dimensions on that thing.
What's LP?
Last play. So there's what we got. It's 21 feet across. It's 6 feet tall. And
It's pretty big.
it's only 6 inches.
What's the price on it?
That price was a little farther down, I think, too.
Ballpark?
Maybe $20,000.
12,
12, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ah, there it is.
With all those
Yeah.
options in, it's yeah. That's
33.
that's the add-ons on the bottom.
Now, will this fit into the wall?
It could be retrofitted, yes.
Are we gonna do that?
That's a decision we gotta make.
Is that an extra cost, or is that something we gotta find out?
I think we'd have to find out what's involved in, we've talked about putting a gate in so that the only access for things like ambulances, is not, going through some other place, but through the outfield fence. We'd have to look at what, and I don't know who's had that conversation with Wonderwall, if anybody's doing that, or if it's becomes a matter of, how do we do it in-house? Essentially, the scoreboard components, if you read above, are, shatterproof and could technically be hit with a ball. The odds, you could play for years and not hit the scoreboard on a fly ball or even a bounce. But that being said, it can be hit. So putting it in the wall is not, a home run hits it if it's over the wall, So putting it in the wall, I don't think is any issue other than the mechanically, physically doing it.
Has it been done? Absolutely. There's been other venues that have utilized the champion wall.
I love the
Put that
idea
in.
myself. I think that looks pretty neat.
Okay,
We gotta do the same thing for the ladies.
Is this the same,
Absolutely.
is this just one company? Or
This is the company that's done our scoreboard, that did our scoreboard in the stadium, that we're really happy with their work, and we have some connections to them that we're really impressed by their quality.
Now, are they on the,
Code stores or, yeah. Mhm.
everybody know what CoStars is?
That's the place that
purchasing.
you filter out to find the best prices and products for things that, like the bid person.
And just to remind everybody, the left field wall will be 10 feet as opposed to 6 feet in center and right. So we've gained a 10-foot wall to put a 6-foot scoreboard in the middle of, which means you'd have room above and below it for it to look
Professional.
proportional and correct.
And the same thing for the ladies.
okay, budget-wise, where is this money coming from?
This would have to come out of the
General.
general fund at this point.
All right,
But also, we would be flipping what is currently in left field, the scoreboard,
To the middle school.
middle school. So when you see a cost of, and I'll just say 33,000 there, it would be offset by whatever the cost of that previous scoreboard was, because we would have been purchasing a scoreboard for Gateway Middle School as well.
okay, well, Scotty asking with the girls, will they get a new scoreboard themselves, or are they
Yes.
gonna keep? So what will happen with that scoreboard that they have there now? Because we just got that one too.
Well, I think if we eventually put a girls' field over at the junior high,
Gateway Middle.
they use it over there. Did we already budget for a scoreboard for the football field over there? And if so, did we pick one out yet?
No,
No, we didn't pick one out. No, we didn't budget one.
I don't think that was a budgeted item for the middle school. I mean, we're talking about a new surface, but I don't think we talked about changing the bleachers or changing scoreboards there.
New track too, right?
New track as well, yes.
I thought we were,
I think it's something we should look into.
You know,
Scoreboard's gotta be,
certainly if you ask me, and again, I'm not necessarily writing the check, but if you ask me, it's absolutely important that we circle back to the Title IX thing and we say, the only sport where they have separate facilities for male and female student athletes is baseball, softball. If you think of the soccer that's being played tonight, the girls are playing on the same field the boys would play on tomorrow. Football is played on the same, well, there's football doesn't have a female component, but basketball, they use the same gyms. Track, they run on the same track. So really, pool, they swim in the same pool. The only sport where you have different facilities for boys and girls is baseball and softball. And because they're different dimensions to the field, different baseline. I mean, you could play on the same field and move bases and move fences and things like that. But the outfield for softball averages 180 to 200 feet, and the bases are 45 feet, and the mound is 45 feet. It's a much shorter, smaller field.
And the
Where
boys
baseball, the bases
has a
are
mound.
90 feet. The mound is 60 feet. It's a different dimensional setup, and the outfields can range from 320 to 400 feet. Baseballs travel a lot farther than softballs typically too.
Especially the mound for the boys, because it's on the field, and it's, like 12 to 15 inches high. If someone's backing up for a fly ball, they can trip over it, et cetera. So that's why they play on two different fields. They have a flat mound.
So at the end of the day, the only sport that they play separate facilities is baseball and softball. So anything we've seen litigation-wise or just questioning from, the government, when they look at your Title IX compliance is those typically. Are you doing the same for the boys as you're doing for the girls and vice versa? So I don't think they're necessarily looking to nitpick, the size of the scoreboard, but I think the optics all say do the same for both in these two facilities as best you can.
Well, if the outfield is 100 feet less, then you don't need such a big scoreboard.
I guess you could make that case, but I think you still need to have a
Oh, yeah, no, I was
scoreboard.
just.
They might
I
have a
was just
smaller
saying
version of it.
Yeah, that's, I'm just.
Yeah,
But I will say
No
this, I
knowledge
don't
of
think
it.
anybody's ever said that scoreboard's too big. I think more,
Right.
the problem that you run into with scoreboards is if people can't see it or it's not big enough. I think, the optics to me, all the right messages are sent when you make them as similar as you can.
Okay.
Wonder wall outfields, similar scoreboards, similar turf, similar sound system and camera system, all those things built in, light system. You're saying softball and baseball are equal because they're played by different genders in our district.
if we do a scoreboard over the middle school, does track get affected by that? Is there scoreboards that work with the track team?
There's a scoreboard over there. I don't know that it's used for track though.
It doesn't have any
No.
things on there for that.
We have visions of getting to the point where our current football scoreboard in the stadium actually is able to do track and field lane timing and all those kind of things. We're not there yet. And it may end up investing more money in it down the road to add that package of software. But I've seen that in stadiums, and that's a pretty neat deal where you get the actual lane 1 through 8 is up on the scoreboard like we see in the swim scoreboard.
So, I'm thinking a little bit about the safety aspect of this, or the possible destruction of property. I've been here on the school board about 6, maybe 7 years now. I haven't heard of anybody harming any of our, scoreboards, equipment, signs, entrances, gates, and stuff like that. It's just been, people don't paint those things up nowadays anymore, or hang things on them like they did when I was a kid. So I don't think that we need to invest anything extra in security for these
Now, I think
purchases.
the one thing that's different about school districts, even going back 10 years, let alone, further, is the fact that we're so camera-based now. We have security cameras in a lot of places that we didn't have them 20
Even a
years
dummy
ago.
camera mounted up there
Yeah.
with just a little red light painted as though it were on might be enough to keep
Although-
somebody
Yeah,
from.
and it's not so much about the vandalism, and I totally agree with you that, we do not see our facilities vandalized.
No, that's
It's
remarkable.
the extracurricular activities that may happen at our event, whether or not that's in the stands, on the playing surface. We've utilized that in many situations where we have to document and send something to WPIL, PIAA, or the police as far as whether or not it's a fight, theft, something going on within those complexes.
And just an interesting tidbit, because I was involved in an install of security cameras, not to slow the meeting down, but the dummy cameras have some legal issues, because the understanding of someone who might be victimized is, I thought I was protected because there was a security camera there. So if you have a fake camera, you give a false sense of security to a person who may, I'm not saying they're going to take undue risk, but if something happens, you think, well, at least I got it on camera. Well, if you don't have a camera, if it's fake, you could be liable. So they discourage those pretty heavily for putting fake cameras in.
The scoreboard that used to be at the stadium, I thought they were talking about, do you remember which one I'm talking about, the old scoreboard? They were saying that they had just got that upgraded and everything, that was going to be moved to Gateway Middle.
It could be
I
moved.
think it could be.
Yeah.
I
We
didn't,
still have it.
we didn't commit to doing that yet, but
Correct, that's what I'm
it's
just-
not been disposed of or, destructed. It's been
It's there
kept.
in case.
Well,
Let's look into a new one though.
yeah, if you're putting all new stuff, that's
Again,
why.
Okay.
as the athletic director, I'm gonna say, with the beauty of what we're gonna have for facility, it would make great sense. And again, I realize it's money expended, but I think it's money well spent to do it right. We've said it in a lot of different circumstances. If you're gonna do a project of this magnitude, your number one priority is to do it right. And doing it right does right by middle school, high school, all the student athletes. And it's about the kids and the facilities they get to use. I think it says a lot when you have this gorgeous new middle school. Be great to have a new scoreboard out there outside the new turf and the new track.
It'd be
Absolutely.
less expensive to do it now. If we wait and we decide to do it 2 years from now, it's gonna cost more. And you have the ground ripped up in case they gotta run wires or move the scoreboard somewhere. Let's do it right the first time, the old right way, the wrong way, and the gateway.
Makes sense to me.
Sure.
I agree.
We look at pricing for this baseball scoreboard, so we would have that, get that moving, figure out what we're gonna do,
We have the pricing for the,
so we know exactly what we're getting.
yes,
Did you pick,
yes.
Don, did you pick one out with what options you wanted? Is that the 33,000?
If we scroll back up, I believe that's the right one, yeah.
Now, do we have the one for the girls softball too? Because if you're gonna do both,
I think you wanna do the same thing.
So that's the at-bat, ball strikes out.
It tells you who's batting, tells you what the count is on them, which is on a standard baseball scoreboard, balls and strikes and outs. But the horizontal, or panoramic inning by inning score is unique to these models that we looked at. And again, pretty typical of what you'd see in an outfield wall or above an outfield wall at a facility like we're gonna have. I think it'd be fantastic.
Remote control and all that.
Yep, they're all state of the art,
It's
digital LED, everything's pretty neat.
What kind of,
handheld device.
Handheld device that our person could sit basically near third base and operate it, or in the dugout, and operate it.
It's amazing.
what
It's
kind
pretty neat.
of warranty?
You know what? It's in the small print down at the bottom, but it's solid. It's industry standard solid. I'm not sure if it says anything. Oh, yeah, we would certainly make that available when we made an official proposal to spend the money. I think we'd make sure the warranty was noted.
Is last play an option? Is that, I don't know anything about baseball, so please, I'm literally like the LP, the last play on that, is that?
It's not a necessary option. I mean,
Yeah, there was something else we were looking at,
Yeah.
the pitch count one. that
yeah, we looked at the pitch
We didn't
count
think
and
it was
everybody.
worthwhile that.
No, that's one you keep close to your vest in case they go over their pitch count. You don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to, we just, after we put it up, the old score, we decided pitch count was not something.
Yeah, it just seemed,
5-year.
Micah just jumped in with the red pen.
there it is.
Good work. Thanks, Micah.
Micah, you're on top of it. I mean, he breaks up fights and all. and
He's all
we're just-
over it like a hobo on a
he's
ham
all
sandwich.
over it. Yes.
So after the 5 years, does this company, come out and do any repairs if needed?
They definitely will still repair it, but I'm sure you're going to be at a cost.
Oh, no, that I am, but this company still,
Yeah, we've been very pleased with their responsiveness and their quality of the product.
Oh, yeah.
And there's lots of examples. If you Google them or look at their site, they have lots of a gallery of things like where they've done similar ones for college and professional baseball as well as high school baseball.
Let me ask you this, is there a panel that maybe comes with this that somebody could sponsor the scoreboard?
Yes, they're on there too. I guess if we scroll down again. 2 ad panels.
Got you.
Good point, Scotty.
So that would be something we want to purchase now to have it, if we
that's-
would stick it in the wall. we would
Yeah,
have to
that's
stick it
in that price to pay
Oh, it is?
about $3,000 to get 2 ad panels that we would then try to
Okay.
recoup the money by selling those ads.
Like sheets,
Have it ready for
Sports medicine.
spring season.
yeah. That's not a bad thing to sponsor there, get some money.
Okay, so you're gonna be asking for 2 of these?
Yes.
That option has two of them, yes.
No.
No.
Oh, two scoreboards, yes, I'm sorry,
scoreboards.
correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Correct.
question. When we purchased the last scoreboards for the baseball field, it said that the money was coming out of the construction fund for the 21-22 fiscal year. And they paid $4,800 for each one. So, I mean, you look at the difference. Now, where will this money come out of? Since they called this the construction fund, where will the money come from for these scoreboards?
General fund.
And we are gonna subtract roughly 5,000 for each scoreboard that we're not gonna purchase at the middle school.
Right.
Although we're talking about buying another one for the
Yeah.
football field, but we won't be buying one for baseball. And I think there's a place where we can put it, as far as softball, I think even though it's inlaid on the field, I think it's doable where we can find a place to put a softball scoreboard. Because you want it to reflect the fence, so you want to put it somewhere where you can see it when you're watching a softball game, as opposed to where we'll have a football scoreboard that you need to see from the bleachers. So
Now,
we'll have to look at it.
did we take into consideration scoreboards for the basketball court in the new gym over Gateway Middle? Or are we keeping everything that was there?
Well, what we'd like to do, and I don't want to get ahead of it, what we'd like to do is we'd like to take our scoreboards from the sports complex and then look at the next generation of scoreboard in the sports complex, which is a video board, you know, on the scoreboard at both ends, which we had some renderings done from OES, you know, a while back. So what we're looking at there is again, we could subtract that money. Now, it's not apples for apples. It's
Right.
much more expensive to do the digital stuff, but it's really a big upgrade that says 2022 and, you know, great facility. Like we saw at Duquesne, at Robert Morris when we were in the state playoffs and things like that. The digital scoreboard is pretty impressive. And again, you could sell all kinds of advertising as rotating in there, that sort of deal. We would subtract the cost then of the current 2 scoreboards that are in the sports complex by moving them over, one each to the gym and the second auxiliary gym over there.
What about the scoreboard for our auxiliary gym at the high school?
That almost, if I were prioritizing, that's the last domino in that list. It gets used not a lot for competition. It gets used maybe for freshman basketball. That's about it. So
When
technically,
they're playing though, when you have girls and boys playing the same
and
night.
JV for doubleheaders,
Right.
true. So we never have a varsity contest in there.
Correct.
I'm not trying to, put it too far down the list, but it'd be in the pecking order. It'd be the last one to purchase.
Could we still get pricing on that? If
I
we
think
can,
that's a great idea, sure.
if we can't, if we're gonna do them, I would,
Finish your thought. I thought you were going to say about 4 minutes ago, if we're going to upgrade some scoreboards, we would first go to the Fury Sports Complex and take a look at whatever the latest and greatest generations of scoreboards are, and then do something with the existing scoreboards, like put them in the middle school? Is that what you were going to say?
That's exactly what I was going to say, or started to say.
Repurpose them, right.
which
Yeah,
is,
we would just, they're still very functional, good scoreboards, with the player and foul and who's in the game and how many points, those things down the sides. They're relatively modern, they're not old scoreboards, but again, the next generation is using digital scoreboards with video boards. And that'd be the next thing.
So the benefit would be
And
purchase.
a new sound system, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, a new sound system in the sports complex as well, to do a whole bunch of different things.
number 5. Do you wanna take that one, Dr. Short? Or is Dawn gonna, you want
The
to,
current,
go ahead.
the current scores table is pretty rough. I would equate it to the condition of that scoreboard you just referenced in the auxiliary gym. It's beat, it's a little broken, it has a couple, scars on it. It's 14 feet long. We spec'd out a 30-foot deal. So you could include the press at courtside, you could include all the scores necessary, you could include whatever you need, plus have more room for rotating advertising on the lighted LED scores table. Again, that's what facilities like ours do now. The 14-foot one is a little small, and it's lived its good life, and it needs to be replaced. Yeah, it's been there for about 20 years. And again, it's functional. It has on there, you know, basketball and wrestling and volleyball, because those are the sports played in there. But a new LED 30-foot scoreboard, or excuse me, scorer's table, could then reflect, again, advertising changes, could be sponsors, could also be what sport's going on. It's a pretty neat product that they make as well.
What are we looking at?
I don't have that in front of me. I don't know if Dr. Short has it. It's we sort of hit the pause button on this project when we realized the magnitude of the other turf projects. You know, so we didn't finish the drill. We got some pricing, and we have some renderings that we could share with this group after the meeting.
So the benefits of upgrading the scoreboards and the scorer table with the initial money spent would be in hopes of regaining that money back through sponsors.
Yeah,
And
and
it
again,
could be digital, it could be a rotating,
Right.
it doesn't have to be what's out there.
and again, you know, I haven't tried to do the math of how long it would take or how many sponsors we would need or things like that, but you'd certainly be recouping money through
Right,
sponsorship
yeah.
of those things, without question, yes.
So there's benefits to not just spending the money, we'll be able to do that, look more professional.
And then the other piece that, you know, not, our primary focus is gateway student athletes, clearly. However, the more we do to continue to upgrade our facilities, including the fantastic baseball and softball we're gonna have, that sports complex, our stadium, we are a prime location to host not only outside groups that are not affiliated with high school for different tournaments and whatnot, but also the WPIAL and state playoffs. And if we are the crown jewel facility with our location, we're going to be the first call from them all the time. And we make some money off of those things as well.
So
And then athletics would make money with,
how much do they pay to use the facility? When was the last time we hosted something?
They typically try to, work in that they're not going to pay a rental, but they're going to pay all your custodial fees. But we get concessions. You can charge parking and programs and 50/50s, and it's not Rockefeller money, but it's money,
Okay.
and it certainly showcases the facility.
And the booster groups can make that money.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, so that benefits the concessions and.
And it
the
rolls back to our
boosters
student athletes by
Yeah.
getting into our boosters' hands.
And, yeah, there's been also, and I don't have any numbers to support this, but the general consensus has been, if there is an event hosted here, Monroeville benefits as well, because, people are driving in, they're hitting the restaurants. Community as well.
So you think Monroeville will kick in for some of our
I mean, anecdotally, I can tell you that when we host like a volleyball playoff match, I get calls from the principal or the athletic director or a parent that I might know from some other relationship saying, "Hey, where do we eat?
Yeah.
Or, what do we do? And I mean, I know that,
Yeah.
if you're coming from Mars to watch a game and it starts at 6 o'clock, you're going to try to grab dinner in Monroeville and all that good stuff.
An example, there was an article in the Trip today about South Allegheny High School unveiling their new stadium, football field. And, they talk about, wanting to host WPIL, PIAA events, and they call it the crown jewel of one of the top 5 stadium venues in Western Pennsylvania. And I'm sitting there reading it, and I'm like, well, it's a nice complex, and South Allegheny, I'm sure, is a wonderful area to visit, but they're not going to receive the phone calls from the WPI and PIAA to host events because of location.
Where is South
I
Alabama?
have no idea.
I don't even know.
McKeesport, I think, down past.
Glassport, I think, is
yeah.
part of their deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah,
That
big
guy-
article on it. You
the
gotta
guy
read
that's
it.
referenced, I coached with at Gannon before he went to Connellsville as the coach, and then he was couple other positions and got out of coaching and is assistant superintendent at South Allegheny. He kind of machoed the project. He was very interested in seeing, we took a cart ride around and looked at our stadium and everything before they started their project.
Yeah,
Up the hill past the elbow room in McKee Sports, kind of across the Newbury School.
there it is.
Up the hill past the bar. You're
Yeah,
from Pittsburgh,
their
at the
press
bar.
box didn't quite match ours, but it was
No, tough to do that.
just,
I think a big thing is we need, I don't know if we have a PR company part-time or somebody part-time that goes out and hits up Sheets and Lowe's and Home Depot.
That was gonna be my question. How do you guys get, like, you know, obviously through the years, you've probably gotten some sponsors, right? But like, if we were to do this and have these wonderful facilities, I think I would like to see a push for sponsorship, and what does that look like, and how do we make that happen versus digitally, both digitally and baseball?
COVID really put a pause on all that, even throughout all the major arenas, except for Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium. But coming out of this, we do have a pamphlet that we submitted prior to COVID and generated some sponsorship from that. So coming out as we are right now and with the facilities, we'll start pushing that out again as well.
Yeah, but I still think we need someone, like when we got STA to do the scoreboard up here, they didn't know about it until it was in the paper, you know?
Yeah.
They approached us then. And then even like PNC, we've used PNC for 20 years or more. And I found out the other day they sponsored the scoreboard up there, but you don't see PNC on there.
They refused to put their name on it. That's that Go Gators little. Yeah, that's what they wanted to do because they did not want to put their name on
And
it.
I think we could certainly, be intentional about reaching out and posturing, and positioning clients and say, hey, look, this is what it's going to look like. And when it's, bring them on site and say, this is what you're getting, and then start talking about statistics about how many people are at all the different events. And then that's when hosting WPIAL and PIAA events have some sort of byproduct value. That's okay. You're going to host not only the gateway games and get that crowd of the home and away folks, you're going to get two other neutral teams that are going to come and play a game at your site, and they're going to see, it's the old math of advertising. More eyes are going to be on those scoreboards,
Yeah, but I still
the more
think
events we have.
we need somebody,
To aggressively go find them.
boots on the ground to go,
I would agree.
Well, you and Susan are part of the Rotary, right?
Yes,
So, and that's a business organization. So monthly, you're part of that conversation, so
weekly.
weekly. So is there some way that, good Lord, weekly?
Thursday at noon. Thursday at noon.
Oh, is everyone,
What are you kids talking about? I don't even care. So is there a way to,
He used to join.
so is there a way to, I mean, obviously, those are the people we want to reach, almost without exception, right?
do they mail something out?
Networking ability with
Yeah.
names, contacts.
You'd think that they're all right there.
Not everyone shows up for this one.
Same thing, the business chamber of commerce is there, right there, and this, this.
Yes.
Right, I mean, they're already there, and they have an interest in us, we have an interest in them, we serve them, they serve us.
We can ask Mr. Dice too, to sponsor one. It me.
that was me.
I'm just saying.
That was me.
Yeah, I'm just saying it because we have, what's our other one up there?
Like Jack said, it'd be nice if they had sent an email out every week or every month, or they sent a flyer out to everybody that's a member of it. Maybe even have cost on there. I guess we have to
We're gonna have
figure
to
out the
update.
cost from maybe other schools, how they do it, or.
No, we have that pamphlet that was approved by the board in certain levels, yeah.
Well, did we ever approve the updated rental fee schedule? Remember you were working on that?
No, that did not happen yet, no.
Is there a reason why? I mean,
Well, there was talk at the time that we were going to try to transition all scheduling to the athletic office for facilities, and the hangup is, one of the hangups is that we have some union issues with secretarial job descriptions and whether we'd have to recreate and repost those jobs if we shifted some of those things to the athletic office. So we kind of thought we'd wait until Trish transitioned and talk to her successor and decide how we wanted to go about that. And then that sort of, Trish sort of in limbo, it's kind of, slowed that process down a little bit.
Not be part of the secretary.
Wait on that until summertime. Just keep the facilities where they're at, but I think we do need to upgrade the rates.
Because I know Dawn had reached
Especially
out.
with the fields
Yes.
moving into spring.
With what we're gonna have,
Summer.
we definitely need a different, and I think we're far enough down the right path that we can make that transition cost without changing anything else about the way we preserve facilities and then figure out the rest of it. But the cost updates are in accordance with a lot of other districts that we surveyed. So what we have and what we looked at is that job's about, somebody needs to make the layup, but we basically broke the press, so we're almost there, so.
Okay.
We get those sports metaphors.
No. So I kind of let half of the thing slide on me.
I'll do a cricket metaphor. Google it.
Yeah.
Slow
So
ball.
we're going to look into pricing for the scores table and for the basketball, the scoreboard,
Scoreboards,
okay? For the baseball.
basketball we could do, scores table. And then I'll look up that old fundraising pamphlet that we sent out.
So we're gonna give Mike Z a heart attack.
Okay, so if we possibly can, because of time, could we, if not this month, be able to do it? Can we get into next month's October for approval from the board?
When does the spring season start for baseball?
Game season typically starts late March, early April. What usually happens is you get a lot of postponed games because of weather, which is not going to be a factor unless it's actually raining sideways during the game.
Or snow, 4
Or
inches.
snow, yeah. We've had some 30-degree days, during early baseball season. But, so yeah, it's March.
I'm just wondering, so those scoreboards gotta go in first to ensure that we have them.
Yeah.
So you wanna
But-
prioritize the months?
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Yeah.
We can have those on for, what's the day?
It's August 31st.
Yeah, we could have those on for.
And if you think of the timeline of the middle school project, those scoreboards aren't going to be needed for quite some
The
time.
only thing we'll be moving on would be, up here for
Right,
September,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
We can move these scoreboards and set them aside. We don't want to move the ones out at the sports complex until those gyms are done and we're there. So we're the two, as you referenced, are the
Right.
two
So you'll see the recommendations
soon.
for
soonest.
September.
but then I don't wanna wait, just like Scotty said, continue to wait, because prices just keep going up every single day.
So I said,
Brilliant.
We saw.
Insight. My one good idea, like we're looking for doctors.
You're done?
We'll prioritize
That's all
this
right.
month, those two, and then the next month, get us everything for.
Quickly, want to wrap up and talk about e-ticketing and metal detectors?
How'd that work?
So I'll go backward in number 7, metal detectors. We're meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with all the particulars about Friday night's game and what we're going to do with Brian Key and Dennis Chakey and Dr. Short, myself. And so we're going to Bob Brown and all the folks that are kind of in play for Friday night. So we're going to talk about metal detectors, and I think preliminarily they're definitely a go for Friday night.
So do we have a particular concern about this game more than others or more than?
There have been times where there have been things that preceded our games with either them or Penn Hills or McKeesport, where rival factions maybe said they were going to come here and finish, because they knew this other guy would be here, things like that. We have got nothing on anybody's radar right now that gives us any pause, but like we've learned to say a lot during COVID, the abundance of caution is just making sure that we don't have any potential flare-ups.
So we're gonna use the metal detectors from here on out with every home game.
Potentially.
And there's only what, how many home games really is there?
There's 5, plus we expect to host a home playoff game.
How difficult is it to move the metal detectors? I'm sure it's not an easy feat.
It's not an easy feat, but we need to do it, we'll do it.
Are you gonna have the wands going?
If someone goes through,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Someone there, Scotty, or no?
And then go back to number 6. We got the word out to Mount Lebanon. We tried to get the word out through a Skyward Blast. We felt like we did some things, but after the fact, the debrief was we need to do it sooner and do more as far as the magnitude of the change. We had long lines of people. We took in more money than we typically take in for a home game because everybody still wanted to buy a cash ticket and they were all $7. And the crazy thing is for our students, it's $3.25. Well, the season pass for football we made it $2 a game. It's $10. So you get in all 5 games for $10. Or we had our own kids, buying a single game ticket for $7 cash, and they could have just paid $10 on their phone.
Clearly part of our math program.
So we're trying. What we're going to do tomorrow and Friday, we're going to go in the cafeteria and we're going to, have the barcode or the QR code, available and say, hey, look, it's a much better value to do this. Either buy your ticket in advance for $3.25 or buy a season pass for $10. We have passes for football and soccer and girls soccer, boys soccer, volleyball. We also have all fall sports passes. We have all season passes that you all get. So at the end of the day, it makes a lot more sense to buy some other package or just buy it ahead of time. And we got the word. All of our opponents this week already have the digital link for the tickets. The soccer opponents, the football opponent, everybody has that. And we said, please let your fans know and just explain why. Avoid long lines. It's cheaper. It's a better deal. So.
And are we still gonna offer people to pay?
We are. I mean, we don't want to rip that Band-Aid off completely, as was evidenced last week, but we are trying to nudge them. We thought that, more expensive ticket and, the word out would sort of discourage people from waiting to walk up and buy, but a lot of people did and had a lot of ticket revenue Friday night. So.
Micah, is the link on the main website, the Gateway website, or is it just on the athletics
It
website?
might just be an athletic.
It's just athletics right now. I can definitely put it on the main website.
Do we think that's a good idea?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
No downside.
Yeah,
Got
I
it.
would say I would put it on the main website, just
The link for
the
digital
link
tickets.
to buy tickets, just not on the athletics website.
I can do that.
That would be
Thanks,
great,
Micah.
thanks. Even being on the inside, I wouldn't even think to type in Gateway Athletics, I would type in Gateway School District.
Well, the directions we've given other folks has been, if you're starting from scratch, go to Gateway's website and then go to athletics.
Yeah.
But the link actually takes you right there. Click on the link and it takes you right to the ticket page.
Talk too much about this.
Is there any other questions for Coach Hall?
Whatever happened with the track being renamed or putting in the LaBeouf in the,
I think what we decided to do was to go ahead and paint it on a lane in the focus of the
yeah,
grandstand.
didn't we approve?
We didn't finish that yet.
John was.
Yep. Okay, so the Gateway High School 1972 graduation occurred this past week, and I talked it over with one of the track team stars, and what we need to do is get a tax ID number so that people can donate. Once we get about $2,700 or $3,200 built up, we write a single check to somebody, pass all that money through, and then wipe it out so that we're done with it. So if we get more money than we need, we can use that to, offer a scholarship or some extra amenity. But we need between $2,700, $3,200, needs to come through a special account so that the money's tracked. Can't have somebody just, dip in and take the money out, so we have to have a way to track it. That's the only way to track it. It can't be me, it's gotta be somebody else. So about an hour and a half ago, I talked with someone who thinks he knows a way to do it using the boosters for the cross-country team. If that avenue's open, we can immediately begin to receive money perhaps into that account because it's already set up. If not, we need to set up an account somewhere, receive that money, collect it, and then turn it over to.
And if we can do this, so we can unveil it and have a nice little ceremony on the track, perhaps prior to the first meet, would be a nice opportunity where the alumni, track and field.
It even crossed my mind when you mentioned if there were any funds in excess, you know, if it's not a huge amount of money, you could sponsor a reception, you know, in the sports complex or, you know, the atrium area. We could feed all those people. We could have it set up to have a little ceremony and then go, you know, put all the people that are there, you know, in the stands or in the press box to get a great vantage point of it and then unveil it and, you know, make an event of it.
So when is the first meet?
Same thing, late March.
March, April.
Let me know, John. We'll get working on that.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, that's it for the
Now,
athletic.
before you go, there are some people who might be happy to work an event at a football game wearing some sort of a yellow or orange jacket, an event worker jacket, you know, just to help be a warm body there in the parking lot, you know, standing around just until the crowd gets in, they get settled, and then, you know, allow them to go and maybe watch the game and come out a little early and just be a warm body presence there, because when kids see that there are 5, 6, 7 warm bodies out there, they might not get a little pushy. They might just sort of wait. So, and that might be a way to bring some retired people out who might just be able to, like me, stand there, watch the crowd go in for about 45 minutes, get everybody settled, and then go watch the game.
Well, you're a little unique in the sense that as a coach, you already have all your clearances and you've been board approved.
Cardiac.
All of our event workers are subject to a lot of the same responsibilities because mandated reporting, clearances, all those things to work at an event and potentially have contact with students. So we go through a pretty thorough process of, you approve as a board, you know, event workers on the personnel agenda, you know, a couple times a year. And again, we can't employ anybody at any event unless they're board approved, and they're only board approved when our, you know, HR folks say they've checked all the blocks and all the stuff is in.
So even to direct traffic, they need to have those.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
So I know this past game, I think, was it Brian Key that was actually checking?
Driver's license.
He was.
That was of the people that would be working in our concession stands and wearing a badge as such. That they had, you know, we want to make sure that they pass muster as well.
Okay, sounds good.
I mean, the safe bet is more rather than less. When if you need to make sure people, you're not potentially hiring somebody that could be an issue of any kind.
We're not even specifically hiring, but having them serve as a volunteer.
Our volunteers are similar deal too. Again, it's the idea that you might have student contact.
Exactly.
That's
Now, priority one is protect our students at all costs. I think we've seen it, you know, at its worst, and we want it at its best.
Okay.
Did you say that we are having additional Monroeville Police on Friday?
We're looking
What-
at 5, and that's part of tomorrow's meeting, but I think that's the plan.
What is the cost per officer? Do we know?
It's an overtime rate. We have to pay 4 hours mandatory, but I can get that number.
Will there be a dog?
I don't think they have dogs anymore.
They don't have, Monroeville doesn't have dogs anymore. Okay. All right, thank you.
Do you all need me for building and grounds, or should I go and enjoy the beautiful game on the pitch right now? The girls are hopefully beating Penn Hills.
Swimming pool?
Yeah, I can give just a real quick update, and I know I've been talking with Mr. Bova as well. The swimming pool, Eads, our engineering company, has come out and completed, I guess, a survey and presenting recommendations of how to fix. And I know Jack was in contact with, I guess, the owner or the lead person, no pun intended, lead, Eads. Get it? Get it, yeah. Get that one?
I know of at least 4 times that they were on site. I mean, they've been in the facility quite a bit.
Mr. Butler can take it from here.
Is there any way to have known that these were going to corrode?
I can't answer that. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I can't speak to that. What's that?
Just lied to us.
I mean, they don't check them so often to make sure everything's secure. I mean, this is like all facilities.
That would be a maintenance question.
I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Okay.
Maybe Jack can shed some light on what Mr. Black, Don.
I can speak to the general idea of preventive maintenance. I mean, certainly when I was in the Navy, we had to do things every daily, weekly, monthly to make sure that things were lubricated or things were secure. I mean, you know, that's part of any maintenance of facility. I'm sure there's a plan for all that stuff, but what it is and what was done or not done, to what extent, I have not a clue.
So for those folks at home that don't know what we're talking about, there was some sort of a light that sort of fell down, and because of the type of light it is, the pool had to be shut down, so this needs to be fixed correctly, and until that happens, the pool can't be used. So that's the impetus behind trying to find a way to get it up there and get it fixed
And
correctly.
also have an engineering firm look at it, not only the light structure itself, but also the integrity of what's behind the light.
And remember that we're talking about a pool, so lighting above the pool would have to be suspended from the ceiling to reflect into the pool area, so
Humidity,
it's the
chemicals.
suspension issue that, that's what
It's not just a broken
failed.
light bulb, it's a system that needs to be examined.
Mr. Butler, we were awaiting your,
How's the school board?
Swim scoreboard.
Yeah.
Good.
That's a new one.
Oh, is it? We don't need to.
It's not actually new, but they haven't updated it.
Yes, Mr. Williams. What did the engineer find out with the lights and the existing lights?
So the preliminary report is that there is no structural damage above the lights themselves, which was the concern. That's preliminary. EADS themselves have been in contact with the light manufacturer to find out if in our next set of lights we should be doing something different. Is that the appropriate set? Is there anything that, we could have done that would have prevented this, and how long is the next set gonna last? They're still waiting to hear from the manufacturer. Mr. Eads, who's one of the partners, I talked to him today, he's gonna step in and try to expedite this, so we get some answers, and more importantly, some lights up sooner rather than later.
I wonder if this company had any recalls on their lights.
These lights are almost as old as,
I'm sure,
anybody in here,
1
so.
2 years.
So I'm gonna say no to the recall. I'm gonna say that, although it's in retrospect, easy to say someone should have been looking at the light. The problem with looking at the light, unless there was clear degradation or surface rust, you look at a light, I guess you could tug on it and see if it falls on your head. But aside from that, like your car underneath, you don't know there's a hole until the hole begins. Again, that light setup was,
Original, I mean, we're 24, 90, 98, 97.
and yes, it's in a humid condition, and the idea is that the light fixtures that are put up are designed to deal with that circumstance. 24 years seems like either not enough time or an eternity. But the point is, one day they were up, the next day they were down without anyone acting on them in any way. So it's taken a little longer than I think it should have to get an answer for what we need to do next. But hopefully Mr. Black will move this along.
So what happened? It fell in the pool in the water?
There wasn't, but it wasn't just a light bulb. There's sort of a network of light fixtures, and they came loose, and one of the globes wound up in the pool.
So if you picture this track lighting here suspended down, and bigger, different product, 3D, but
That video of
it
falling?
fell. Yeah,
I can look.
Okay, 7:31.
I mean, the way I knew.
most of it fell on the pool deck near the diving boards.
The height of the swimming pool area and, again, the age of it and everything. And we've been anxiously awaiting the report because we recognize that there are organizations that are utilizing this and we want to get it up and running.
And I still say grace of God, it happened, it's an empty facility. I mean, obviously it's empty more often than it's being used, but if we had divers on the deck or we had youth swimmers on the deck, I mean, that's a catastrophe that, thank goodness, didn't have
So
any
the way
bearing.
I got to know that there is an issue over there was from Facebook. And somebody talked, there was chat there, and they were talking, why is swimming pool is closed? That was the headline. And then everything followed inside, which I didn't read, so.
So you're saying we did not do a good job of informing everybody that there was a problem with the pool and what
I don't
happened?
have a complaint, we have plenty of information floating around, but it's still, I mean, I couldn't visualize what was happening.
That's all. Thanks, Don.
Thank you. Want to adjourn athletic committee meeting and then,
Just get roll right into.
yep, Jack takes over.
Real quick, Miko,
Might be.
Yes,
you want to put up a picture of that roundabout that I sent you?
That's Jack's baby.
I can't get enough of the roundabout.
No,
There it is. We got a,
you want me to kill the lights bill?
I'm going to go up and use my pointer, which is my pen. Okay, we have a visual drawing of the Forbes roundabout. So just visually, so everyone can understand what we're looking at. This is Haymaker Road, Gateway Campus Boulevard at the bottom. The roundabout, or I should say, the jug handle used to connect right here, coming off of Haymaker. That will be eliminated. Those folks traveling north on Haymaker will have to go through the light at the intersection of Gateway Campus and 48, be in the right-hand lane, circle around and sit at this light to cross 48 onto Gateway Campus Boulevard. There is an exit lane for those people leaving the hospital complex, both complexes, that they will simply merge onto the roundabout, onto Route 48. You do see a pedestrian walkway that is still within the plans. I have not heard officially that it will go through. However, it is still listed in the drawing, or
Over top of 48.
over top of 48.
That walks into our baseball complex.
And you see the sidewalk.
Why is there walking, why is that?
Well, to cross right here from Gateway Campus is now 7 lanes, will be 7 lanes. And the number of cars bypassing this intersection to connect on creates a problem for pedestrians to cross.
Will there still be one light area right there and not where they exit Forbes?
It will be right here.
So I guess the question is, how many pedestrians cross that in a given month?
Thanks, Bob.
If it's like 5, that's one thing. If it's like 500, that's another thing.
We have a lot of kids.
I mean, people do cross, I have seen. I mean,
I see a number of individuals crossing that property.
and they are pedestrians.
But just to be clear, that pedestrian bridge is PennDOT's idea?
PennDOT and Forbes.
Okay.
Yes. Again, I have not heard confirmation that that will go. However, it's listed or identified in this drawing.
How close is that gonna drop to our field?
That will have no impact on our field if it goes in, if it goes in.
Could we use it for advertising?
And roll behind us.
So the roundabout and all that we're talking about, it's all one lane, right? One lane going around and one lane coming out of Forbes
That is
Hospital.
correct, yes.
It's all one lane.
One
Because-
lane.
Because I looked at, I mean, I live close by and there
Mm-hmm.
are not that many, there's not a whole lot of real estate.
No, they will be extending that 48 roadway onto what is now the Forbes Hospital campus, right in front of the marquee. You can actually see a stake if you exit out of our campus where the roads will connect. You can see stakes that they have in place.
So are they putting a sidewalk there? Like, how are the kids gonna cross?
Across 48?
Yeah.
There's a
I mean, I see the
I mean, there's-
pedestrian, so is it, I don't know, is there a sidewalk coming out of our campus now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know my daughter used to do it all the time, I just
Yeah.
never worried about her
It's
safety.
for sure, it will happen, 99%, 50%.
We're 99% sure this will happen. I do not have the exact timeline yet from Forbes or PennDOT.
And no matter what we say, if we don't like it, no matter.
I mean, we always can say no, and, yeah, I mean,
For
We
$1
did-
million, we say yes.
Well, you saw what happened after the trainer, so.
So, as it relates to Gateway, our patch of land right inside that corner, right between the ball fields and the roads, do we have a plan to landscape that someday, or to?
yes. Once the project is complete up at the high school, the idea would have a little marquee right there at the corner. We do have our existing marquee right along 48 that I've been in conversations with Maiko about swapping out an LED panel. But we'd still have a marquee similar to what Forbes did on that corner of 48 and Gateway campus.
Jack, when you say landscape, do you mean put some small, beautiful bushes or small trees in there or something?
I mean, anything that
Yeah.
looks
Roses?
better than what we have now, which is not as good as the bank in front of my house, and I am the least accomplished landscaper in this room. So it looks, thank you, Scotty. It looks, again, like it's abandoned. It's
condemned.
And there's not a reason in the world for it, so.
I would like some Vegas gold flowers, we need some Vegas gold.
There you go. We need some, we got a plan, we got a schedule, we need to kind of establish what that is and adhere to it, because, you know, we're spending lots of the taxpayers' money, and that's what we do, that's our job, we get it, but there's,
And that will look beautiful.
excellent.
Write that down, pal.
Artificial trees?
Yep, whatever, palm trees, that'd be nice.
You did.
Palm trees, huh? What do you think? Palm trees.
Do that.
Such a headache.
Okay, outside door assessment, we did identify a couple of doors that have been forwarded on to Mr. Brown for repair. The doors that were noted in the original budget, those were doors that were beginning to rust underneath, as I had explained to a few board members, that do not pose any risk or safety. They do work. I believe Val has verified that,
I went and checked them all,
correct?
checked them all.
Not once, but twice.
But we all agree that exterior doors that have rust going up the bottom, again, my house doesn't have exterior doors that are rusty, because that would look bad, so
Yes,
we're gonna at least, we're gonna address that, right?
correct.
Has the state police done an assessment of the high school yet?
No.
Scotty, focus.
I'm thinking about the doors.
All right. Dr. Singh's on a bit of a tight schedule here. He's getting a little antsy. Yes.
I had a question, because I do have the preliminary 21-22 and 22-23 budget. So on the sports complex, there are several doors noted on the years. Does Bob give you a report on the, why it needs replaced, or what, like, how do you prioritize the buildings and ground? You know, because obviously you don't prioritize school books, we just need them, right? Like, they are a priority. So this kind of stuff, if it says replacement, and how you explained was they're functioning, they're locking, they're fine. However, we won't be able to get the parts if they do break, right? So this is just a spreadsheet, so I don't have that information on if something is actually broken or it should be replaced.
If something is broken or should be replaced, that moves it up to a priority status. And that is then taken care of and addressed. It may not be in Bob Brown's budget, but we do have certain line items that we can pull from and fix the problem immediately.
So if it's in Bob Brown's budget, why doesn't it get done?
Those were preliminary budgets. They did not make it to the annual budget.
So who takes it out? Bob Brown?
Paul Schott,
Well,
myself, all of us.
don't blame Paul anymore because he's gone.
I've never.
No, I'm just being sarcastic.
ideal time to blame Paul.
Yes, because he's not here.
He did say he left today. Feel free to blame me for everything.
Believe me, it'll become.
Well, and I was looking again at these budgets, and the door replacement for number 22, which I know is now part of that project, but it was 13,000 in the 21 school year, and now it's 20,000 in the 22 school year. And then the roof replacement for the first floor, the cafe and the library, that went up 40,000 in between the two budgets. These prices are just getting worse everywhere we go. Yeah, they just keep going up, and I know we don't have an excess of crazy amount of money, but was the roof done? Like roof replacement? Again, I'm looking at a spreadsheet, so I don't know what it needed and why Bob felt it needed replaced. But if it doesn't, it goes up $40,000 increments.
I mean, the same thing with paving. I mean, if you went out to bid paving 6 months ago, it would be astronomical.
Well, we saw what happened with the fields. I mean, how much increase that was. So that's why
That's why we almost don't want to wait if these things kind of need done, but
There's a lot of things that need done, and what we do operationally to try to prepare a budget to include everything that would need to be done would not be attainable.
right.
Does that make sense? I mean, there's no way to do it because every one of our buildings is 70 years old. And if there is, all right, 62 years old or 61, Scotty? No,
Ramsey was built in 70.
50. 52.
So I just get this, but you get what's wrong with them?
I don't necessarily get it. We may review it.
Right, like
Yes.
Bob says, okay, well, this
Yeah.
door definitely needs replaced because of this, but this
Yes.
one can wait until. Okay, and things that are on here have been done.
Absolutely.
So you prioritize.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
And what but the HVAC for UP and Evergreen, was that completed?
No.
We got ESSER funds for that.
And there's a 3 or 4 year window, which we're going to be doing next summer.
will the price increase from what he has on here for that?
I don't have the answer to that.
Well, I'm just, if he's looking at $2 million, and then.
That's a budgeted amount.
Right, exactly. That's what he has. And then looking at what we approved for the HVAC at UP and at Evergreen was $2,224,000. So that's individually. So that has already gone up from what he has budgeted, like $448,000. So if we wait till next, I mean, I know we can't do it now, but how much more is it going to increase by the time, which I know you can't answer?
So he's not here right now, but first of all, the $2 million number, there is no way in the world the roof project cost exactly $2 million.
No, this is the HVAC, right?
So the HVAC. So he was putting together his wish list is not the right word, because people hear that the wrong way. But he's putting together his preliminary sort of projection or request. Again, there is no way the HVAC was precisely $2 million, whether it was 1.9 or 2.2 or 2.3. I don't know, but it seems to me the real question is, you're right, we approved that fairly, it's been a while. So I was under the impression we were gonna start, in my mind, we have ESSER's money, we approve it, someone should be on the roof the next day working on the HVAC system. So the question is, why is there such a substantial lag between when we talked about it, when we approved it, and when it starts? Is that availability? Is that,
I'll be honest with you, I'll have to get the answer to that.
okay?
Yeah,
Because I
I
think that's really the question we want to know, and particularly if the delay leads to greater expense, then even for future projects, we should know. When we vote on something, unless someone says, we're putting in the HVAC system, we need you to approve the money, and it's going to be put in summer of 2023, we don't know that. I just assumed, actually, I assumed it was already being done.
And don't quote me, it may have been supply as far as material.
That's a possibility, but
So,
we should definitely know that, I would think. And that's a big chunk of that proposal that we had put together.
Yeah.
One year. It was an outlier, by the way. The proposals for the other years were a matter of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And absent the Esser's funds, I assume, again, he's not here, but I assume he would not have included that, but I don't know that for sure either.
I mean, another question too is, I know Scott, we had talked about this, the elevator that was supposed to be at UP, now it's not on any of these budgets that he has listed, and I know we talked about that like 3 years ago. So has that been scratched, or are we still looking at that going to happen?
I could schedule a meeting with Mr. Brown to be here.
Okay, I mean,
That may be a
that's,
good idea for
So
answering
just
some
for
of these
anyone who
questions.
is listening at home, UP is a two-story building that doesn't have an elevator.
right.
And a number of years ago, was there a vote to put in an elevator?
It's not compliant, we're out of,
No, I mean, everything's compliant. I want the public to know that.
Right, because you use the
Yes.
first floor.
Right.
Yeah, there's no compliant grandfather. See, yeah.
okay, what I'm talking about is we had student, third, fourth grade student that was on crutches in a wheelchair, couldn't go upstairs, so they had to switch the classrooms to come down to accommodate.
Understood. So a few years ago, because of that, a decision was made to put in an elevator. But I'm asking, does anyone remember, did we vote to put it in? Were funds set aside for it? Were cost estimate, anything actually done?
I think it was just something that they said they were gonna look into. I don't know if it ever got looked into to get a price on it.
I know they
But
had-
there was talk about, they didn't wanna put an elevator.
What was that, Scotty?
Well, because yes.
couldn't hear what you said, Scotty.
Maybe we shouldn't put an elevator in there because the custodians will just load it up with paper and break it or something, just an excuse why we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that we need to look into.
And it wasn't quite an elevator as we look at an elevator. It was kind of like a lift.
A dumbwaiter.
Yeah, it was something similar to that.
I don't know if you can get away with that for a commercial use.
All right, so we need to then determine how the board pursued this and why it stalled. And then if indeed the board thinks that that school and the community is better served by an elevator, then again, it's odd to tell the community we're all in on scoreboards and scoring tables, but we're gonna have to put the elevator on the back burner. That's kind of weird when you say, Dr. Singh.
Yes,
Didn't you think I phrased that beautifully?
yes, yes.
Help me out, Dr. Singh.
What does back burner mean?
Back burner means, oh, well, we will do it.
We'll get to it. Okay,
All right, beautiful. What else? We touched on the swimming pool. Are we done with the doors or not?
Yeah. Door is done. Door, no, nobody's talking about door anymore.
Paving we discussed.
Paving
Paving,
is not an option, but it's out. Kidding.
Paving, we discussed briefly, only in the sense that it's gotten far more expensive than it would have been if paved before. And we all recognize that it would have been better to have some kind of annual paving budget and do a little bit here and a little bit there. But you're going to get we're going to do like a grand scale. What would it cost to pave the whole operation? And then board will have a chance to take a look at that and decide on their own time what needs it the most, what works the best, to get some sense of how to approach this because we know, actually, I shouldn't say that. Paving is tied pretty closely, I think, to the cost of oil.
Yes.
So if price come down, then paving might come down a bit and oil prices will come down because,
Yeah, they do.
Also for the folks at home too, that in years past, school boards change every 2 years. And some school boards might have cut out paving,
Yeah,
et
that's a good
cetera.
point.
There's a lot of things that have been cut out
And
by
it
previous
just gets
boards.
passed on, passed
Absolutely.
on, passed
Yeah.
on, and that's why the costs get so exorbitant sometimes, because they tend to spend the money somewhere else, or we might not have the money.
Good call, Mr. Williams. Well, you've been here 20 years, so you've been part of voting for it. You've been part of taking it off you're
Listen,
both sides
we've
of
been
it.
I've done it all.
in boardrooms where during the budget process, things have been in there and board members have just stripped down to nothing. And, I think that's important to understand that
Well,
this is a process and it's a difficult process. And we understand that there's a lot of things that need to be done. And when you do these things, there's an expense.
What does AHU stand for?
It sounds like a trick.
I have no idea.
Auxiliary heating unit.
Jack?
That actually might be right.
You got it.
Look,
think I was
I don't, HVAC drive for AHU number 4 and 5.
I mean, I'd like to think that I know that, but I don't.
You might, because he might really.
There it
I think I got here just on my good looks. You kidding me?
I thought you paid the
Give me another acronym. Go ahead, give me another one.
that would be
I thought it
sports.
means
I don't know why that, I don't know if
Well,
it
no,
has
that
a
was
heater.
the HVAC for AHU and then esports AHU.
Okay, it could be.
Alternative heating unit. See, Jack?
Auxiliary. Come on, man, you already got it wrong.
Okay, another question, another
That's why
thing
you're here.
that needs to be looked into. When you come out of the sports complex, well, let's come out of the high school where we have the overhang,
The bridge,
the bridge. Okay?
connecting the school to the sports complex.
No, that's our stuff up there. Okay, when you come out of the high school, it's cut out.
There's a handicap cutout, but when you go across to the sports complex, the handicap cutoff's over in that little pull-off area. So if students coming out, they gotta go out in the snow or rain to go into the sports complex. Or they could go across the bridge, I understand, but there's a handicap cutout as soon as you come out that door from the high school. But if you go straight under the bridge to go into the doors at the sports complex, it's just a curb, big curb.
You gotta go around.
You gotta go where that pull-off is to the sports complex.
Is there a way that they can make that handicap accessible, to cut part of that curb out so they can go straight in?
That's a good idea.
I'll get a price.
Yeah, 'cause I know John Hall's golf cart, when I comes out of school, he has to go this way,
Stop it.
straight across.
Can you get one with the bigger tires and the long travel suspension?
We can get him a UTV.
There you go.
So, just to clarify me, I mean, my English is second, not my mother tongue, so it says, so pavement I thought was sidewalk, but paving is whole
Roads.
street.
Yeah,
Paving
streets.
is anything, right. Sidewalks are often concrete, but when we talk of paving, we're usually talking about the parking lot and the
I
streets.
see, but the pavement is just sidewalk.
No, the pavement, when people reference the pavement, they're usually talking about the streets and the parking area. The sidewalk's the sidewalk. And it's usually not paved. Sidewalks are usually concrete. So paved usually
Thank you.
refers to that blacktop, that,
Yeah,
Stuff.
okay, I see.
although it doesn't have to be.
There's also one other wrinkle to it. The machines that you bring in order to perform paving are big machines. They grind the street up, they lift it up, they put something down, then they come through and press it. So when you bring these big machines in, you want to do a lot of paving that week, get it all done. So if you just have 1 or 2 potholes, you can't bring in the machines for that. You just do spot work on those. So that's what Bob Brown has to do. He has to figure out how old and wrinkled some areas are should we tear it up this year? Can we wait one more year before we do it? Because if we wait one more, then everything else, could be brought into the picture and we do it all at once. You save money by doing it all at once that way. So that very well could be the reason why one year it's 20,000, but the next year it's 40,000, because things have changed, because others have gotten added into the mix that need immediate attention at that time. So,
But it's not quite
It's
that
fluid.
simple. I mean, you can pave right over that. Some of it has to do with how big the curbs are, because if you put down too many additional layers of pavement, then the curb effectively shrinks and then water runoff goes over it. So
it's
they're
complex.
right. It is complex, but just glancing at our curbs, there's probably enough curb that we could pave without milling. And if there's no knowledge that the substrata is bad, like, Pitcairn, we paved over and over and over until unfortunately curbs were completely gone. Then we had to bring in that big milling machine, take everything down right to the bottom and start over. So it can go both ways, but I hope we've cleared that up for you.
Yes, very well, very. I'm full of it.
And I don't believe that English is second language thing either. I think we're just using that.
Micah, do you have that video?
English is better than anyone in here.
Yes, I do.
Okay, this is the lights falling down in the pool.
So you could see what happened.
Wait a minute. Did you see?
I see it swinging right there. You see the light you see the light fixture swinging?
Micah, can you rewind that a little bit? Because you can see it.
You're done with swimming pools.
Well,
down on the right-hand side.
You see it fell on the right and now it's swinging.
It happened like at 1:27 in the morning. So it just let it go. Hey, Micah, can you bring up the dance studio? Do you still have that?
That is not a recording, that was live video. I can go
Okay.
in there though.
All right, can you?
Yeah,
Okay, let us know when you get in there.
All right, so Val has just mentioned the dance studio. Bill, do you want to just do I'm sorry, Dr. Short, someone complained about that. I call you Dr. Singer. Dr. Short, can you give a little brief of what happened to the floor in the dance studio? Is that Dr. Short?
Yes, the floor in the dance studio, since it was constructed, over the years have been buckling slightly. And it reached the point where we deemed it to be unsatisfactory. It has been closed off. It has been, the wood floor removed, dug out. It ties into where the auditorium atrium is, and there was a bathroom that was constructed next to the auditorium that collapsed prior to the unveiling or the opening of the auditorium. That has been repaired. This is the area of the dance studio that needs to be built up with steel and then the wood floor repaired on it.
That's correct, there was a sinkhole in there?
Correct.
Now,
Is that still wet or is that stained? Like, is it coming in from the ground?
No.
So over what time period are we talking about, Dr. Short?
This has been ongoing since 20 years ago.
not the dance studio itself.
Not the
but-
dance studio, but the lifting of the floor has increased almost every year, to the point where we decided to close the dance studio, remove the wood flooring, see what was beneath it, and then begin to repair it.
And if I'm correct, I think a year into it, you put a ball on it and the ball would roll.
Correct, yeah.
All right, so at this point, the underlying, no pun intended, problem is now, what do you like that? Is now solved, yes?
Yes, we're now, we need to go out for the bids to repair this.
Okay, so without obligating ourselves to anything, we could get bids on this next
Absolutely.
month.
Yep.
Are you sure there's no
But that's not wet
wetness coming in? There's nothing,
I mean, we could always have Eads come out and take a look.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
That would be an excellent idea.
just double check,
Yep.
because I think they use that a lot. So, Right now, we're just storing everything in.
So it just started to roll.
It's been like
it
this
just
for how long?
Went down.
Oh, it's been 20 years, and then every year that we
20
go.
years since the floor's been?
No.
But it started buckling?
Yes.
So how long has it been since the floor?
I want to say a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we'll have Eads come out, take a look, and then begin the process of getting
Absolutely.
estimates for finishing that too.
Yep.
Is that the only part that needs replaced, that whole?
That would be it, yes.
The rest of the floor doesn't need replaced,
No,
but it just settled?
yes. But the engineer will let us know.
Okay.
So just for the layman, so they will fill this with concrete?
No,
No.
no, you see those steel trusses
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah, yeah,
across?
right.
That will be with the underlayment that's under the wood floor. That will, actually, there should be air circulating under there to keep the wood from
I see.
getting moist. Moist is a bad word. Do you like the word
It's-
moist?
it's-
I know it's your second language.
Well, it's bridge then, it's like.
Yes,
it will be
yes,
like a bridge.
exactly.
And then washer will go inside.
Damp. Let's go with damp. How do you feel about damp?
Yes, damp, yes.
All right, so we got that. Yep. What else?
North entrance?
North entrance, GHS.
Yes, that's the exterior. We have drawings coming in from our architect.
Access.
Thank you. Drew the blank. It's been a long 14-hour day here. Yeah.
I got one of those myself.
So Axis Architecture providing us drawings, and then again, we have to have the steel to support it from the outside.
Where are we talking?
This is back by the wood shop?
Yellow's X room.
The new entrance in
Yes.
the LGI.
Instead of going into the dock.
Correct, yes.
One that also should have been done decades ago.
Should we have Eads come in and look at that?
I don't know
We
who's
don't need an engineer at this point. We got the architect and everything should be good.
All right, so we got that done. I have one thought, since I didn't realize this, how would I? These kids practice cheerleading out here. We have no exterior lights, so it gets dark and they're out here practicing almost every evening, so we really should give them some lights if we're letting them, welcome them on here. Anything you want?
This is when we approved this.
Talking of cheerleaders, so last Friday, first time I went to Gateway football game.
Pretty exciting, wasn't it?
And yes, it was pretty exciting. And I later I learned that there is access to press box, but I was in stands.
That's where I
It was-
usually go to.
It was pretty lively over there.
I mean, lively in a good way.
Yes, very, very
Yes.
enchanting.
It's boring in the press box, doctor, so you don't go there.
So I saw Mr. Williams on the field for some time, and then he disappeared, so it doesn't matter.
Magic. Next time you come to a football game this Friday, we'll have to take you on a tour.
We had somebody take care of the flower
When
beds.
they talk about this bridge,
We had somebody take care of the flower beds.
I have no clue.
Fire beds.
No, flower beds.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. I
So,
don't know either. I'm not sure.
If we're looking, I don't know where they went.
Jack, do you want to declare this meeting over?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying, we used to have it.
Is it over?
Yeah, if you're
Is it
done.
over?
Been done. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
New school board
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, the outside